What makes someone leave the top ranks of corporate America to start over? On a mission with a deeper calling.
It really made us even more committed to the work that we do in the underserved community. And I would say there's nothing that we find more fulfilling. I tell people, I'm more busy than I was when I was working in corporate. The difference is I'm more fulfilled.
Today, I'm talking with Randy Melville, former senior vice president at PepsiCo. He oversaw 14 plants and an 11,000-person sales force for the Frito-Lay brand. PepsiCo is one of the most iconic names in American business. Chances are you have more than a few of their products in your pantry right now. After years of leading at the highest levels and delivering results inside a global powerhouse, Randy made the surprising choice to leave the corporate world, but not before learning some hard lessons. These days, he serves on multiple boards across industries ranging from financial services to transportation. He also chairs his own foundation, which he supports underserved communities in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
The meeting was like 5 hours, and I probably talked for 4.5 of the 5 hours. And I remember saying, Harry, I said, it was a great meeting. He turned around, Dustin, blew the unfiltered Camels in my face and said, no, it wasn't a good meeting.
This is Ordinary Greatness. It's not a show about building a career through privilege or connections, but about real people who achieve great things and the lessons they learned along the way. Whether you're just getting started on your career journey, considering a change, or interested in hearing stories of leaders who have made it, this is a show for you. For Randy, it all comes back to family, especially the women in his life.
I'm a product of Trenton, New Jersey, which is where I grew up. My mom and dad were married for 57 years before my dad passed away. I have 2 brothers and a younger sister. I grew up in Section 8 housing. For your guests who might not know what Section 8 housing is, that's governmental assistant housing. And I was fortunate enough to have a mom who was a school teacher. And my mother really emphasized education at an early age. And I had an opportunity to go to a prep school in Princeton when I was in the 9th grade. And that was really a transformative experience for me. In fact, it really changed my life in terms of what I thought was possible. Because after that, I went on to Princeton University. And I always say the best things in my life happened at Princeton because not only did I get a great education and I have great friends, I met the love of my life, who is at that time, my girlfriend is now my wife, and we've been happily married for 41 years. And we have...
so you're creeping to 57.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's right. That's right. I have 3 boys that are now young men. And so that gives you the Melville...
How did you meet your wife?
Met her in Princeton, as I mentioned, my junior year, her sophomore year.
Okay.
If she was on the podcast, she would tell you that I chased her. But since she's not on the podcast, I was going to say she chased me. But
I'm going to tend to believe her.
Yeah, exactly. No, she was one of the studious type persons. And our first date actually was in the Firestone Library. I never went down there because I wasn't that serious about studying, but my wife, well, at the time, girlfriend did. Yeah. And that's where we had our first date. And I look back on that to say, she actually helped me be a better student.
Yeah. It's sort of amazing when we think about our partners, right?
Yes.
The people that we attach ourselves to and just how intertwined our success is. And it seems very, very real for you and your wife.
Oh, absolutely, Dustin. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it helped me be a better leader.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, I didn't realize till my wife told me this, and she said, you're a terrible listener. I thought, well, what do you mean I'm a terrible listener? I'm in sales, I'm in marketing. And she said, no, she said, you're a great communicator, but you're a terrible listener. And I thought, wow. And she said, honey, you need to slow down and listen. And she said, actually, when you listen, she said, not only do you catch the other person's point of view, it might change yours. And that little bit of advice, and I still remember I was working for Procter & Gamble at the time, and I thought, I've never been told I'm a terrible listener. I might not listen all the time, but she really told me that. So I couldn't agree with you more. That's when you talk about who we attach ourselves to. and how they help define our success. That's just one little example that I would give you relative to how my life partner has really helped me elevate my game on a variety of fronts.
Yeah, it's very wise. Right?
Yes.
Your wife sounds very wise.
She is. She is.
What did she do professionally?
Yeah. She has her PhD in clinical psychology.
Okay.
She also has her doctorate in theology, which she later got about 5 years ago. So she taught at the University of Penn when we were earlier in the psychology department. She was the clinical psychologist at a state institution in New Jersey.
How did you end up at Princeton?
I wanted to go to UVA or Notre Dame.
Okay.
And I was being recruited by the coach at UVA. And I had a very serious knee operation that happened the summer of my junior year.
Oh, wow.
And that was a pivotal point for me, Dustin, because back to what I said earlier, if you had asked me what I wanted to be, it was a professional basketball playing for the Knicks. Sure. I was pretty good. Yeah. I was all state. I was playing in a semi-pro league at the time. And I tore the meniscus in my left knee. And at this time, so this is in 19...
surgical procedures are...
Totally different. I mean, I have a scar that's 2.5 feet long on my knee. So it was a very serious knee operation. And so once that happened, UVA stopped recruiting me. And I had a taste for the first time of having your worth determined by what you did. Mm-hmm. And it was shocking to me. I was 16, 17 years old.
I mean, does that switch on like, I'll show you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was a driven person. I became hyper-driven.
Yeah.
Because when my coach told me in his office, UVA is no longer interested, when I said why, he said, well, you're damaged goods. And we both kind of cried and, wiped myself off. And it's like, I'll show you. And I became not only, I think, a better player, I focused more on my academics.
Right.
And it's kind of serendipity how Princeton came into play because the Pennsylvania coach, University of Penn coach started recruiting me, which was the only reason that I was right in Princeton's backyard. Sure. So it was kind of, what you're familiar with doesn't seem as appealing. But when the coach at the time was Chuck Daly, who was the University of Pennsylvania coach at the time, and started coming around. Oh, yeah. And then Princeton. And like I said, once I got into both schools, my mom said, you're going to Princeton. Which...
She wanted to keep you close.
Yeah, she did. Exactly. Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, strong women in your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Big influences.
And so you see the theme.
I got
Mom, it. My bride, yes.
That's pretty good.
Yes, absolutely.
Randy has always had a head for business, even as a kid. He once had to fire his friend from a paper route for skipping shifts on rainy days. By the time he was in college, he knew basketball wasn't going to be his forever path, and he started thinking seriously about his career off the court. That led him to an internship at Procter & Gamble, where he got his first real exposure to corporate life and a crash course in leadership.
So I started work with Procter & Gamble, and it was great because Procter & Gamble emphasized teamwork, camaraderie, being a self-starter, knowing how to solve problems. Don't just bring a problem, but bring a solution. So it fit perfectly. And also, as I said, since I did it for an internship the prior year, I kind of knew what I was getting into. I always tell people in sales, it's math. It's straightforward, it's math. It's not subjective, advertising or R&D, things like that. It's either you made the sale or you didn't.
Right.
You delivered the profit or you didn't. You closed the sale or you didn't. And I love that. It's kind of like playing basketball. You won the game or you lost. At the end,
it was a scoreboard.
You knew the score. Exactly. It was a scoreboard. That's right. Absolutely right, Dustin. So that fit perfectly with my personality, which is how I was. I was the kind of guy I wanted to know where I was, where I stood, where am I on the leaderboard, what do I need to improve on. I was used to being coached. I played for a Hall of Fame coach. And there's so many things that, I learned from him that helped me in business. He would always say the name on the back is not what matters. It's the name that's on the front. What he was saying in a philosophical way, it's not a collection of individuals here. You represent the university. You represent Princeton University. You have to play as a team. You always say the 5 best players don't win, the best team wins. And so we never went into a game where we didn't understand the game plan. You didn't understand the strategy. I understood my role. So clarity of expectations I learned early on from him. And then in business, as I started rising through corporation, same thing. Are you really clear on your role? Are you communicating with your team? Does everyone kind of understand we have a common mission that we're all going for? It's not one superstar, that's going to cause us to gain market share or do whatever we need to do in the marketplace. So many similarities and parallels as I learned in athletics that I carried over into business.
And for somebody like yourself who was on the floor, a player, and then you go in the business world, and you like that competitiveness. You like the scoreboard where you stand, and I'm assuming you started in some sort of individual contributor type role.
Absolutely.
But at some point, you become the team leader or coach, and you're relying on everybody else. So, what was that for you? What was the first real leadership role you took?
Yeah, the first leadership role I took, I was actually at Procter & Gamble. I became a unit manager, and I wasn't very good. I got feedback from my team.
Yeah.
And Justin, it was so sobering because I remember, and there was this gentleman, I can still see him right now. He's about 55 years old. I was 25, so I was his boss. Salt and pepper hair, smoked Camel's unfiltered cigarettes. Okay. I can remember my first meeting I had with the team. And after the meeting, the team went downstairs. We had some cocktails, and I was cleaning up the papers, and I was just reveling in how great the meeting was, how my first management meeting, I did so well. The meeting was like 5 hours, and I probably talked for 4.5 of the 5 hours. Okay. And the only other half an hour was probably doing breaks. And so I go downstairs, and the team's, just kind of talking amongst each other. And I walk up, and it was almost, and this was clue one I should have realized. It was almost like the parting of the Red Sea. People just moved to the sides as I walked by. So I didn't think much of it, and I walked over where some other folks were, and they were chatting. And when I came up and said, "What's going on?" everyone got quiet. Clue number 2, Harry was the leader of the team, and that I knew. And he was over at the bar. His back was to me. And I remember saying, "Harry," I said, "it was a great meeting." And he didn't acknowledge my presence. And I thought, well, he just didn't hear me. So I said it louder. "Harry, it was a great meeting, wasn't it?" He turned around, Dustin, blew the unfiltered Camels in my face and said, "No. It wasn't a good meeting." This is when you're faced with cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Which is your belief is different than your reality.
Yes.
So you either dismiss the reality that really didn't happen, or you have to come into context and conflict with your belief, which is what I did. And I remember thinking, this was all happened in 5 seconds, but it seemed like it was like 10 minutes. And so I finally said, "Harry, why wasn't it a great meeting?" And he said, "Because you think it's all about you." I remember as if it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I remember the smell of the cigarette. I remember how he didn't turn around. And I remember him blowing it in my face. And I remember what he said. And he was right. So back to your question, when you were like, "Randy, how do you make that switch? What was that like for you as a first leader?" I wasn't very good because I thought it was about me. And I had to realize, no, when you become a leader, it's not about you at all. It's about your people. It's about you elevating those who work for you. It's about understanding what their dreams and goals and ambitions are. And your job is to remove barriers to help them achieve that. And in so doing, you all win. So that was, and I always credit, Harry probably never knows this. So Harry, if you hear this or see this, you'll remember you fundamentally changed my whole perspective on leadership. And from that point forward, Dustin, I had to step back and realized that I was looking at the wrong model.
One thing that really stands out to me about Randy's story is he chose to retire in his 50s, pretty much at the height of his career. It wasn't because he had to, but because he felt pulled towards something more meaningful. Even if you're nowhere near this stage in your own career, there's still something to learn from how Randy made that choice. It's a reminder that the big decisions in our lives often come down to what we value most and whether we're ready to act on it.
One thing about you that I think people can learn from is your orchestration out of full-time work. When did you know you were going to retire?
I knew I was going to retire probably 2 years before I did. And Justin, it started with a conversation I had with my pastor at an IHOP that's not far from where we're shooting this podcast. Okay. And we went to breakfast, and he said to me, he says, Randy, I'm real proud of you, the work that you're doing. I'm really excited for you. He said, at some point, I want you to think about significance. And I remember saying,
interesting word.
Yeah, well, what I said is, I've never thought about significance. I've thought a lot about being successful. I've thought about making money. I've thought about being a CEO. So then I asked him, I said, well, what do you mean by that? Never forgotten what he said, Justin. He said, Randy, success is what happens to you. Significance is what you allow God to do through you. When he said that, I said, well, I need to think more about that. And he said, most men don't think about that.
Oh, yeah.
But I want you to think about that. Yeah. That began a journey for me. Okay, what do I really want? What do I want my legacy to be? I was a good corporate executive. I worked for a company for this number of years. So it really began some introspection for me, Justin, that lasted about 18 months. And it was good because, I was focused on delivering the business day to day, but also knew I wanted to hang up my cleats before I was told to hang up my cleats. And
it's a hard thing for people to do.
It is.
You're relatively young.
Yes. Yeah. Did it at 57. Yeah. And retired, and I told someone on that point, I said, hey, if I'm working for PepsiCo in 2018, it'll be for one reason and one reason only.
Yeah.
Greed.
Right.
Can I walk away from the money?
Yeah.
And I said, if I leave earlier than that, it'll be for one reason only, my health. So I established these two goalposts, and I had 3 accountability partners. And I said, I want you, if I come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, elongating this, or, the stocks is this or whatever, I want you just to smack me and said, Randy, remember, you said greed and health.
And I want, if you read a commendation that you got, and then I want, please tell us about the foundation. So recently you and your bride, of course, the honor of the Association of Black Princeton Alumni Distinguished Alumni Award. And I loved this quote. I can't imagine how gratifying it must feel to have these words associated with your name. It's really tied together your professional pursuits and your philanthropy. And you won it jointly, which is
right.
So it says the award is for alumni who are successful in their careers and have brought honor to the name of Princeton University by exemplifying the highest ideals and traditions captured in the phrase Princeton in the nation's service and in the service of humanity.
It really made us even more committed to the work that we do in the underserved community. And I would say there's nothing that we find more fulfilling. I tell people, I'm more busy than I was when I was working in corporate. The difference is I'm more fulfilled.
I see videos you walk around the warehouse. To be able
you have done your research.
To be able to show your boys.
Yes, exactly.
So this is what it means to be a Melville.
Right. And Dustin, I think back to our ancestors and what they endured. My dad is from Trinidad. My mother grew up in the segregated South in Alabama. And sacrificed enough for me to go to Princeton. And I feel that I have a duty, an obligation, an honor, a blessing, not a burden, to make them proud. So, when you say, to my sons, this is what it's like to be in Melville, I think back to our ancestors and them hoping, for a better day, or saying, one of our children, may have a better opportunity than they had. So,
well, you've done that.
Thank you.
Excited
about that.
It's great. No. I mean, absolutely. I can only imagine one day like having anything, remotely like that, and just the overwhelming feeling.
Thank you.
It's what we want for our kids, right?
Right, exactly.
To admire us,
That's right.
kind of
hold us in esteem,
and then do better than we did.
Absolutely,
right? To do even better.
That's right.
That type of work.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing you do is this foundation. So, tell us about the foundation.
The foundation, it's really our life's work, Dustin, and thank you for allowing me to talk just a moment about it. We're focused on improving the lives of underserved children in the southern sector of Dallas by focusing on economic empowerment, food insecurity, and academic excellence. And the way we bring those three strategies to life, and when we started the foundation, my wife and I, the CEO of these schools, I met with her. We met with her. We're walking around the school, and I said, "What school has the lowest test scores and has the greatest need?" And she looked and she told us the school, and I said, "Well, we would love for you to set up a meeting with the director." She said, "More than happy to do that." So my wife and I go meet the director, Ms. Smith. We're there, and I asked her the same question. I said, "Ms. Smith," I said, "what is your greatest need in the school?" I expected her to say hard assets. We need books, we need computers, need this. And I'm thinking, okay, I know this CEO. I'm going to call this person and get that. That's not what she said at all. She said, you're absolutely right. She says, "Randy, the greatest need we have is to have people who look like my students come and invest time in them so that they can see what's possible outside of what they see in their neighborhoods."
You weren't thinking that at all.
Not at all. So Dustin, it gets better. So I started writing down, and I'm not being dramatic. She went like this. "Randy and Dr. Melville, the children I serve have issues of trust and abandonment. There's too many people who come in their lives and go out of their lives. If you're not committed to doing this, I don't want your help." Dustin, I was insulted. My wife totally got it.
Right.
She's like,
"It's so great."
She's like,
I imagine you're coming in there thinking like,
exactly. I'm coming to the hell.
Save.
Exactly.
We're going to get this done. I'm going to execute.
Right. Exactly. That was my mindset. And she's like, "Hey, I don't know you. I don't know if I can trust you. More importantly, I'm not going to let you get to my kids."
Yeah. And these kids, the sense of impermanence that these kids feel.
Bingo. So that caused that we backed I backed up.
Yeah.
Dustin, it took a year and a half to gain the trust. And one of the happiest days, Dustin, was when the director of this facility that we were with, we were just completing our health and wellness distribution. It was towards the end. He called me in the back. He says, "Randy," he's coming back. He said, "Hey, I was wondering if you and a couple of your friends might be able to help us in the warehouse." We had earned his trust. And I looked at my buddy.
You knew it was a breakthrough.
It was a breakthrough. Yeah. It was a big breakthrough. Yeah. And so my learning was, when you don't have the credibility, you aren't able to bring solutions, even if it's the right solution, because it's the mindset. It is the savior mindset. Hey, I'm coming down on high. I know what the problem is. I'm doing these right things for you.
It's the same as your leadership.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Absolutely right, Dustin.
People are much more likely to pursue something if it's like self-motivated.
That's right. Absolutely right.
As successful as Randy's career was, it wasn't without moments of doubt or challenge. What helped him most during those times was advice, the kind that can only come from people who've been there before. But finding a mentor is not easy. Randy shares how he met one of his mentors and the advice that stayed with him.
I think one of the most challenging times in my career is I thought I was the best person for this job. I worked hard to get this promotion. Like I told you, in sales, it's math. If the guy's number one, that means if I'm number three, there's two guys ahead of me. I get that. Yeah. But what you don't realize at the time, there are other factors in play that impact whether someone gets a job. And I almost at the time, I was so angry and I didn't have the executive maturity because I thought, wait a minute, I was the right guy for that job. I've been working hard for that job. I had the results for the job. I've said on my performance review that I wanted that job. I was open to relocation. I talked myself almost into leaving. And I remember this guy told me, he says, Randy, he says, listen, he says, you're too focused on what's happening with others. And you need to stay focused on running your race, not someone else's. And I've never forgotten.
What does he mean? What did he mean? What did you interpret into?
What he's saying is, look, he was telling me without telling me, just run your race. 3 months later, I was promoted. And so what he was really telling me is, have a vertical look at what you're doing, what you can control.
Yeah.
Don't think horizontally, hey, did Dustin get that job? Did Jimmy get that job? What's Susie doing? Who's going? He says, you're spending too much time doing that.
Comparing yourself.
Yeah, that's what he was really telling me. When he said, run your race. Stay focused on what you can control. Keep in mind the company values you. He said, your race is going to be different than someone else's. And I thought, man, I wish I had learned that earlier. That's because it would have stopped a lot. Yeah, it would have stopped a lot of psychic energy that I was spending around not just looking at the scoreboard, like, hey, did Dustin go to that meeting? I didn't go to that meeting. Or did someone else kind of do it? It's like that's JV. That's sophomoric.
Yeah.
Let's stay focused on what you can control. What you can control is what you do, the sales you make, how you approach your customers, how you develop your team. And I tell young executives all the time, run your race.
Yeah. That's good. Run your race.
Yeah.
Was that a significant mentor of yours who told that to you, or?
Yes, okay. A significant mentor. In fact, I learned a variety of lessons from him. One, Justin, there's 3 things. One, the lesson I just said, but the other lesson that I learned from him, he says, Randy, you sometimes can be so principled, you're not very practical. Second lesson he told me.
Well, how does that come? Give me an example.
Yeah. So for me, most things I saw were black or white.
Okay.
It was right or wrong.
Yeah.
It was left or right. It wasn't any gray. And I had a hard time in the gray.
Yeah.
And when you're in business,
there's going to be gray.
Hey, there's gray. Right? And that's what he was telling me. Because I was complaining about something. This is wrong. And all. And after I vented for like 10 minutes, he had a little pipe and he said, that's when he said, Randy, you can be so principled, you're not practical. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, what kind of mumbo jumbo is that? I mean, like, you're supposed to be my mentor. You're supposed to be agreeing with me. You're supposed to be like telling me, yeah, you're right about this rant. And he was like, no. Yeah. He says, you have to, and partly what he was telling me is, you're not good with ambiguity. And unless you become good with ambiguity, you're not going to succeed in corporate America. Yeah. You see everything as black and white. The reality is the world is not black and white. There's shades of gray. Yeah. You have to know how to operate in that. And that's what he was telling me without telling me.
And not everything is a clear win and a loss.
Right. Like that's exactly. And again, that's why, to the extent I always tell someone, if you can early in your career, get a mentor.
Obviously. Did he find you? You find him? How did you get him to invest that amount of time in you?
Great question. It was over time. He observed me before I observed him. He was a bigger guy. I mean, I wouldn't approach him. He was a senior guy, big dog. And so I'm like, man, spent some time. And we were at a luncheon one time and it kind of, it wasn't anything where I said, hey, can you be my mentor? Or he said, I'm going to mentor you. Mm-hmm. We started spending time together. And then when he reached out, I was like, wow, this is really good. And he would say real specifically, okay, tell me about what's happening in your career. Let's talk about, and it was 360. What I mean by that, it wasn't just around the business. Yes, it was that. It was about being a father. Mm. It was about being a husband.
That's a big point.
It was about being a leader. Mm. He wanted me to have the fullness of a person. Like, hey, don't just define yourself by, yes, you work for a great company, you can be a good leader, but it's not just that.
And now, time for some rapid fire questions.
Your favorite sports moment ever. And by that, preferably like you were there, like you were in the stadium.
And I'm sorry about this.
No, it's
the Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots Super Bowl. I was at the game. But
you were at the game.
Yeah, I was at the game. I've had the pleasure of going to 8 Super Bowls.
Amazing.
it was like tied or 23-28. And we were like, we couldn't go back.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, they can't lose. Like, how do you, it's 28-3.
Right.
But if you don't believe in something called momentum, it's real. Okay, you saw the avalanche, you saw the fans, you saw the shift in mood, you saw, I mean, I wasn't down on the floor, but yeah, you could see the Atlanta team got tight. They went to like trying not to lose versus playing to win. That would be my favorite sports moment.
I like this question a lot. So I want to hear like a Randy Melville secret shame. And it could be anything. It could be from like, nobody knows this, but you secretly have watched all the Real Housewives of, whatever. Or
secret
you're like
shame.
Food upset, just something.
I am a terrible speller.
Really?
It's because I cheated on my spelling tests.
Okay.
From like the 3rd grade on. And that's the one regret. I'm a terrible speller. I'm an excellent reader, pretty good vocabulary, but I can't spell for the Dickens.
Oh, goodness.
That's my secret shame.
Thank goodness for technology now, right?
You just now. Now it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty good.
As we started to wrap up, I asked Randy what he wanted to leave listeners with. He wanted to speak directly to those who are underrepresented in boardrooms across America.
The challenges are different being a Black executive in corporate America.
Randy laid out 3 key pieces of advice.
Find a mentor. Number 1. 2, I mentioned this earlier. I think it's important when you are a diverse executive, that I mentioned this, which is run your own race. And then the 3rd thing I'd say, and you and I touched on this, we could double click on it, which I said, competency gets you in the room. You got to be competent in your job, but character keeps you in the room. Don't forget that. Don't cut corners when no one's looking. Don't make decisions that are short-term in nature. And always ask yourself, if what I'm about to do was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, would I be happy or sad? That's a real quick barometer to know whether it's right or wrong.
This has been Ordinary Greatness. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And you can find me, Dustin Ogden, on LinkedIn to let me know what you think of the show. Catch you next time.